Thanks for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. I hope you can all hear me. I'm a very small soft drinks producer located in Hamburg, but my main profession would be something like to play with business, like a giant play field and pulling strings and changing stuff. And my story basically goes like this. I was sitting in my bathtub 13 years ago and drinking my then favorite brand of cola, which was Africola. I noticed the taste was different and the caffeine content I liked so much was not there anymore. But there was nothing written on the change secretly. So I went to Cologne and asked the producer, Alexander Flach, what had happened, and he told me he had to sell the brand to a bigger corporation named Mineralbrunnen AG, and they, of course, tried to sell as much as possible and made the product mass compatible and changed the advertising and the bottle and also the ingredients, and they didn't tell because, they didn't tell. And this made me a little bit angry, so I funded an internet protest campaign 13 years ago with 780 people in it until the end, and we talked with this bigger corporation, and we phoned, and I went there, and we mailed, and so on, and they even hired someone who had to deal with us, and this guy was called the crisis manager. The customers rise and want to take part in decisions about the ingredients of the product, and they view this as a crisis and try to defend themselves. We talked, and 2 years went on, and then they issued another product. It was Africola Light in a plastic bottle, without telling us. We had been in a dialogue for 2 years and talking and arguing, and they didn't even tell us. This made me even more angry because they didn't realize what I wanted from them. I am the consumer. I buy the product. And if I buy the product, this whole chain behind it would work, like the gastronomy, the dealer, the wholesaler, the producing plant, the suppliers, and so on. And if I don't buy the bottle, there's nothing going to happen. So in my opinion, I am the consumer. I have the basic right to be informed about the product and to be able to co-decide. They didn't understand. And that was it, until I got an email from another consumer who knew where the last bottles of Africola had been brewed. And I phoned the supplier and said, well, like, I'd like to order 1,000 bottles or something. And he was laughing at me and said, well, 50,000 would be the minimum amount, 1.5 trucks full of cola. And he saw then that I had put into 2 years worth of work and without any payment and nothing. And so he said, okay, 1,000 bottles for you. And I sent them to this 780 people of this internet protest campaign, and then they were gone, so I had to make another 1,000 bottles. And then there were 2,000, and I went to eat some fries with a friend of mine, and he placed one of the bottles on the shelf and asked this gastronomy, Harry is his name, if he's going to sell the product in his shop. And he said yes. Now I had a very, very big problem. I had to use, deliver, invoice, organize, develop, finance, cola brand. I had absolutely no idea how to do this. What do you do if you don't have any idea how to do stuff? I invited everybody to the Golden Pudel Club in Hamburg every Sunday evening to talk about stuff and talk as long as everybody agrees, because I wanted every single consumer and every single deliverer and so on to agree and to be treated right. These were very, very long evenings, you can imagine. And after several years, this will get a turning point. This will get a very efficient and, in my opinion, sustainable and fair way of doing business. Just to give you an insight, we got about several tens of thousands consumers. We got 680 suppliers today, 98 people taking part in discussions nowadays by an email system, and 6 people doing the organization, and in the end, it's me being responsible. And with so many people, the idea of stabilizing this chain by contracts arises very quickly. But I wanted to have this general idea, although I couldn't really pronounce it. Like, I don't like the usual business. I want to do it different, but I don't know exactly how. But I want everybody to treat everybody right in a way. So I don't want you to be here because you want to. So we didn't do any written contracts beginning, and we still maintained to do this. So today, even with this huge area of people, we don't have any written contracts, so everybody knows that everybody else could leave at any given time. So everybody has to treat everybody a little better because the other one could leave any moment. what we do is, in fact, a kind of open source co-development of the brand and of the product and of the company, because every issue, what I might earn, how the products are made, where they are distributed, how they are, and so on, is being decided on by every part of the whole structure, by the deliverers, consumers, and so on. So I'm giving away lots of control to the people in a way, but on the other hand, I get back the so-called corporate user innovation management to ask for example, the trucking company, how does the trucking have to be organized, and also the consumers with their fresh and maybe unguided approach to stuff. And the combination of both will lead to more sustainable and more stable solutions, in my opinion, than the usual business can do. To give an idea what such a structure could look like, this is my most feared graphic. Over here, there would be the suppliers, like crates and bottles and sugar and so on. They sell the pre-products to our bottling plant and our beer brewer, and they sell the products to us. And most companies actually stop here and just make the product sustainable, but afterwards there's going on several more steps. We sell the products by trucking companies through to wholesalers. They sell them to dealers, they sell them to gastronomies, and they sell them to you. Some of them will get some kind of hobby spokespeople, so I want to give them a share, and I need an accounting girl and a homepage and a programmer and the customs and so on. So there's a huge kind of giant mobile with lots of strings. And if you pull somewhere, there will be happening something somewhere else. And if you don't pull, there also will be something happen. So everything depends on everything else. So the core view of a company, which usually is to buy products and do something with it and sell them, and that's it, is not enough. In my opinion, this whole structure would be my company. Although I only have a brand and nothing else. I don't even have an office. And we went that far to even negotiate the costing structure with every stakeholder in this group. Just to give you a rough insight, down here, 6.6 cents would be the ingredients and 13.4 cents for the bottling plant over here. 16.5 cents for us, with shares like CO2 compensation and label, and 4 cents for me, for example. And there's a so-called production plant price, and then the wholesaler comes and buys and sells to the dealer, and the dealer sells to the gastronomy. And we agreed on this with all the stakeholders, and it has remained stable, more or less, over the last 11 years. And there's two main advantages calculating this way. The first one would be, the structure is stable. It's not underlying the usual market pressure, like one is competing with the other and pressing down the first one, and there's always some like pressure in this whole system, and this is stable. So everybody knows which his share would be, and if it's not enough, he can get into the collective and argue his share might be risen. And the most important aspect is what is not in there: profits. We just kicked out profits, the profit maximization interest the usual companies have, because if I, as an entrepreneur, have to live off profits, I have a vital interest to press down my suppliers and to also push up by the customers and make a bigger profit for myself, and therefore earn more money for myself. And I don't want to have this interest in my company. So I have a fixed rate of 4 cents per bottle, and I cannot earn more by giving less to anybody else. This means I have a vital interest in moderating, analyzing, balancing, kind of conducting this network, and also maintaining this costing structure and also balancing it and caring for everybody else, and therefore selling more bottles over time and being able to make a living. That's the main job of my company. How do we get to customers? With so many funky ideas about doing business. For sure, with the customers. Usually, someone calls from a city like Lipsia in this example and asks, where can I buy premium cola here? And I said, well, sorry, not yet, but I can explain you, I can give you a kind of guidance how to convince the gastronomies in your city. We find several cities by this approach, so the gastronomies also gain control, the consumers gain control where they want their product to be sold. And then we step the way back, which means we ask the gastronomy which dealer he would like and the dealer which wholesaler he would like, and therefore establish a two-part delivery structure. So the wholesaler would deliver over here and then distribute in his area, and then in the city the dealer would distribute. And by doing this, we noticed that it's pretty hard to get this rolling because in the beginning, the amounts would be small. For example, if we have someone over here, the amount would be small and transportation costs for small amounts are pretty high, kind of exponential even. And in the economics books, there's also the need to give volume discounts, so the small dealers don't have any chance to compete, they can't join. And this is why we, at the first hand, said we don't want a volume discount, we want a fixed rate, so the big dealer still earns more, but it's okay because we want the long-term distance to be bundled, and the smaller dealer will get a small volume discount below 4 pallets. And thereby, he is able to join. We have relatively many small dealers, so the whole structure is stabilized, and we have a communication message, small volume discount. Have you ever heard of it? When all bottles have been transported, the accounting girl asks the wholesalers where did they deliver them. We then pay the shares, and the whole structure looks like this, and this is pretty chaotic. It is sometimes. So we decided to write it all down. And we wrote down 50 modules in a bigger operating system, we call it, a kind of mental software steering the real structures. And this easily fitted in the 3 areas of sustainability, added transfer, what I'm doing now, and adding protection for us. And we put this on our homepage for free under a CC license, so everybody is able to copy it and rewrite it and use only modules of it. And this has been done by this impressive list of other products or companies who are using some of these modules. And on the left hand, there are products and companies who give away parts of their structure to me to organize it for them. So I have been developing from an angry bathtub consumer to a kind of specialist for sustainable drinks organization, and this wasn't planned. And this was just the free part. For example, I'd like to force, actually, the rest of the industry to work the similar. So we decided to put on our homepage deliberately any production mistake which might happen, to show that producers of drinks should do so. You can imagine, not every partner in this list really likes the idea, but I want to exert pressure, having the media pick it up, like there is one producer who deliberately communicates production mistakes, so why can't everybody else do? This really like system change you can drink, actually. And the second aspect would be about payment term. This is from psychology. It's called a frame of expectations. Usually you get your money between 10 to 30 days in the drinks business, so who pays after 20 days looks quite good in this area. And we pay after 2 days, and thereby widen the frame of expectations. So the guy who pays after 20 days does not look too good anymore, and then he's getting asked, like InBev, huge company, why can't you pay like after 15 days maybe? Because this premium cola dwarf company, we have a market share of 1 promille actually, they can pay after 2 days, why can't you? Although we have so many strange ideas about doing business, or maybe why we have them, the whole company grows between 50 to 30% per year, although we don't have anybody caring for it. We have nobody caring for sales, we have nobody caring for growth. And this is our distribution map, like 5% of German cities. Looks big, looks nice with the big icons. And 1 year ago, we had our 10th anniversary. And this was, to me, like the proof of concept. Before this anniversary, people were like, yeah, this is nice with your friends, and it's not scalable, and you can't transport it to other companies, and so on, although we have a list right now. But then it was like, okay, we have proven this can work. In the existing capitalism-oriented system, such an approach can actually work. And the proof that it works is also proof that other structures can work too. Now, why did that work? In my opinion, the internet is to blame, mostly. Because nowadays, companies and brands are not only what the responsible persons would like them to be or set as a goal, but you can argue and discuss about companies and brands, and it's getting very quick, and the end consumer can raise quite a big voice. So companies and brands are not only what the owner might want, but it's kind of the sum of talks about it. And there will be talks, if you like it or not. Or it's getting pretty easy for consumers to fund an own company and become competitors. I did this by accident, so you could do it. And this is quite an unstable environment for companies, so you got to find a response. And in my opinion, it's a combination of 6 aspects. On the first hand, the company's goal needs to be strict in a way that is a clear mission statement. In mine, I can only have it in German, it's Premium Cola will die Welt verbessern, indem wir ein menschliches und nachhaltiges Wirtschaftsmodell besser funktionierend und tragfähig vorleben und verbreiten. Anybody who can repeat this right now will get a whole crate from me. It's way too long, but there's everything in there. And this mission statement must be followed consistently. That's the second aspect. Wherever you put your ear into this vast network of shareholders and stakeholders, the answer must be, yeah, they are doing this. They're not perfect, some things don't work, but they are doing this. And how do you get there? Third point. In my opinion, companies must develop to an open source approach, deliberately sharing their numbers, their thoughts, their mistakes, and so on, opening up. And if you open up information to people, they will demand, for sure, to take part, to co-decide, to interact, and to be respected, and thereby there's a kind of dialogue process, co-developing the brand and the company. And this means, fifth aspect, filters must be erased. Where I've learned in the past, it was quite common that the industry talked through the advertising agency to the consumer, and the consumer talked through the research agency to the industry. And these filters must be erased, because otherwise you couldn't have a dialogue. The fifth aspect, how can you steer and lead a brand then? By feeding the talks. If the brand is the sum of talks, you just have to feed the talks. It's not that easy, but for example, if I would like to have some vegan customers, I can make a vegan product, make even more, the packaging also vegan, and to communicate this and have this as an entry point for critical vegan people to find this. And if I have capitalism critics, for example, I can maybe take no interest rates from people who owe us money and communicate this and find this as an entry point. And by the sum of talks, kind of not lead, but like a giant sack of bees, argue and shift and kind of not non-lead, but also develop the company. And this is not easy, I can tell you. It's lots of work, but it's not that hard, because in my opinion, there's just a combination of 3 aspects you need to follow. First one would be, have no clue. Okay, I'm doing this for 11 years now, so hopefully I have some clue, but still, I cannot know everything. I'm just human. I have a truck driver who reads the warehouses of the wholesalers he delivers to. He checks how many crates are there from which product, empty, how is it in this warehouse, and how does this look like by the other dealers I went last week, and how does this look like in a way. And then he calls me and tells me about what's going on in the whole drinks industry. He's a truck driver. I'd be stupid not to be listening to him. Second aspect would be stubborn, really stupidly stubborn, follow your goal. Although you might not be able to formulate it very clear, I wasn't able. Like a train on tracks, follow it. It took me 8.5 years to make a living from this. It's possible if you follow it like a train on tracks. And third aspect, stay open on the way. Although you might have some idiots in your company, I also do, they might find the biggest mistake you ever made and tell you, and you have to be thankful for them for doing so. So stay open. And this clearly is not rocket science. It's just common sense. You can do it. That's what I'm asking you. Do it, and please unbox your ideas. Thank you for this.
Thank you.